So you're thinking about moving to San Antonio, Texas. Well, did you know that I moved here about 10 years ago? And while I absolutely love it here, there are some definite things that I wish I knew about before moving here. And one of the things I'm going to be talking about are going to be the people that are down here. And guys, while there are some definite pros, there are also definite cons depending on which location that you choose to live to in this vast area. And guys, we're going to talk about all of that and much more in this video. So let's get started. So first thing I want to talk about, like living in San Antonio, one of the things that caught me completely off guard is really understanding the traffic. So really what my history is, I was in the military for 20 years. So I was moving from Honolulu, Hawaii, beautiful, gorgeous place out there at Schofield Barracks, where traffic was a nightmare. What I did not expect and what I did not understand is when I moved here and I chose a location, and I chose this not by being here on the ground, but while I was living in Hawaii, had a house built that was down here for me, was the driving aspect of San Antonio. So I thought it was going to be completely easy to drive 20, 25 miles to work. Well, I really got to understand, guys, is like one of the most important things is not the number of miles that you drive here to San Antonio or how far away you from work, but really understanding really what the traffic patterns are, because that can quickly lengthen your time and your drive. So I live out here in New Braunfels, Texas. And when I looked at it, I was 25 miles to Fort Sam Houston to where I work. Now, depending on what time I left, that was going to choose on how long of the drive it was going to be. So for example, if I left at 7 o'clock in the morning, my drive was going to be 55 minutes to an hour just to go 30 miles. But if I left at between 6 and 6:30, then that drive time shortened down to about 30 to 40 minutes. So I can't tell you like this, to understand like the driving patterns of what you're looking at around here, to understand the traffic that's going on here, because right now, like I-35, that's going to be the major hub going from San Antonio to Austin and Dallas. But guys, you also have I-10 heading east out of San Antonio going towards Houston. And those are major traffic points that you need to understand that's going to have a lot of traffic. But also understand is like the construction that factors in, because they are completely remodeling and just trying to make more lanes because there are so many people that are moving here in this area, which is fantastic. But it can lead to a miserable drive time if you don't understand these traffic patterns. So highways to really understand for San Antonio is not just I-35 or I-10, but guys, you also need to understand 281 going down to I-37. That's going to head down south to Corpus Christi, but you're also going to have two loops around San Antonio as well. So the first loop is going to be the inner loop. It's going to be 410, and typically from I-35 cutoff around all the way to the west side of San Antonio, that can get very, very stressed with traffic because you have so many businesses on that north side of San Antonio, because that's also going to run you into the districts of like the Quarry. Really the Pearl is going to be more downtown. But also on top of that, guys, 1604, it is a construction mess right now. Now, when I first moved here, it wasn't bad, but traffic can easily get backed up because you only had 2 lanes going in each direction. Well, now they're trying to expand that to 3 and 4 lanes, add bridges in. They got a lot of the construction on the west side is going pretty good, going done. But if you're looking on the east side, like going from 281 all the way to I-35, guys, you need to make sure that you plan accordingly. And if you don't like traffic, maybe you need to relook your location. Now, one of the things I really, really love about here is the amount of recreation that there is to do. And I'm not talking about just like focus just in on San Antonio itself, but the surrounding areas of San Antonio. But when you look at San Antonio inwardly, what you're going to find is like you got everything from historical districts that you can go to, whether it's going to be downtown around the Alamo, Marketplace, the Pearl, or you got the areas of shopping like La Cantera, you have the Quarry. But most importantly, what I like about it is the amount of activity that you have that you can do like with your kids, such as theme parks. You got SeaWorld, Six Flags. You venture out. You got one of the most notable water parks here in New Braunfels where I live called Slitterbahn. You can go and choose to float the rivers. You got the out in New Braunfels, you got the Comal and the Guadalupe River, which thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of tourists come to float every single year. But you can just go a little bit out west, out there to the Frio River, where a lot of people go out to hiking and camping out there next to the river too as well. There is so much to do here. It's just how big can you imagine to the activity that you want to do? Because it's not like when I lived in Hawaii, it's like you got to, I mean, there was plenty to do there, but you're really captivated in just to a small area. So there's only so much you can do before you really start repeating events. Here, you can do something new every single week and do that for a few years and just find out something different within the San Antonio area. Now, with that, there's one of the big things that a lot of people don't understand when they're moving here, and you're going to find out very, very quickly is, guys, this area is prone not just to drought, but also to torrential rains. But right now, drought is the big focus because we've been in one for a long time. Been in one so far that our water restrictions, we've been in stage 3, 4, and 5 water restrictions for the best and most part for the past 3 years. Now, a lot of people don't understand that it's not just necessarily the lake levels that really affect the drought. Like you go out to Medina Lake, I mean, it's below the dead pool. It's at 3%. But also another one of the big reservoirs out here is going to be Canyon Lake, which we've been sitting at below 60% minus a big torrential rain that we had last year that was very catastrophic. That happened where it popped up to like 67%, but we're right back down below just a year later, under 60%. And we've had quite a bit of rain. So really what that affects is really like what the water levels really look like. And when you look at the resources, so understand like that, like as they begin to supply the new resources or more resources for this area, there is going to be a cost to that. And one of the costs you're going to find is a couple things. You're going to find that you're not going to be able to water your lawn. So if you're expecting like this beautiful green yard, that's going to be very, very difficult to maintain because you're going to have certain water restrictions you have to stay around. But the second thing is, guys, your water bill, oh my goodness, it is going to be expensive. I cannot stress that. It's like my water bill alone, and this is a family of 4, 2,400 square foot house. I average $150 a month on my water bill today. Now, when I moved here back in 2016, my average water bill was up to $68. But because of everything that's gone on, it has skyrocketed the cost of living as far as when it comes to the water. Now, with that, there's also like one thing I really, really love. Another thing I love about here is the food scene out here is amazing. And guys, people think of the San Antonio area. They think of typically it's going to be mostly like your Tex-Mex, Mexican food. They have both. And yes, those are two different, completely different foodie types out here. Like when you look at Mexican food, they do have their traditional, authentic Mexican food out here, but they also a lot of Tex-Mex mixed places. That's typically what you're mostly going to find here. But if you find those small like restaurants with the Mexican food where it's like tastes like authentic and homemade Mexican food, they probably are, and it is absolutely delicious. But also like some of the areas, like when you look out here, like you go to New Braunfels, they have some of the best German food. Like you go out to like some of my favorite places is going to be like Krause's in New Braunfels. They also got the Alpound House that they're going to spell house out here, H-A-U-S. I know to some of you it doesn't make sense, but it's actually part of the local scene, which I absolutely love. Other areas to explore is like some of the best barbecue I've had here in the nation. And I've had barbecue up at KC. I've had our barbecue out in South Carolina and North Carolina, which claims to be the barbecue capital of the world. Guys, that's not true. One place you really need to check out is go down to Seguin, but you got to get it early. It's going to be Burnt Bean Barbecue. They only are going to cook. They're only going to be open. It's not stationed hours because guess what? When they run out of barbecue, which they will, then they're done for the day. But also another favorite barbecue place for me here in New Braunfels, I love Mr. Cooper's. Now typically what you're going to find here in New Braunfels, you're going to find it's either you're going to be a Black's Barbecue or a Mr. Cooper's. And it's really the type of flavor that you like. Me personally, I'm going to let you choose, but Mr. Cooper's, it is absolutely one of my favorite barbecue places. But on top of that, I mean, you're going to have food trucks, pizza joints, everything that you can imagine in the foodie scene that you didn't expect here in San Antonio that people imagine Austin is. It's much better here. I don't care what anybody says. The food is absolutely amazing. What's hard about it is you got to make sure you get that gym membership too to make sure that you keep that weight down. Now with that, there is a definite con out here too as well. A lot of people, they really get floored when they look at the property taxes. Especially like people that come from like the Midwest where like property tax rates are not very, very much. But when you look at Texas, Texas doesn't have the state income tax. So we got two main taxes. You're going to have your sales tax, which is going to run on at 8.25% on non-groceries. On groceries, you don't get sales tax on groceries. And that's unless they consider it's like, I think like taxes will go on soda, stuff like that, because it's not a needed item. And I know many people probably out there would argue, but you can pretty much live off water. Being 20 years in the military, I mean, it's water and just whatever food you can put in your stomach. But with that, the property taxes are typically going to run up to about 2% on average is what you can figure once you're inside of city limits or a certain area, but they can also run as high as 2.5% if you're in what's called a mud district. Or if you're out of city and just in county, you can get them as low as 1.4, 1.5%. I say that because your location is really going to matter, because you're not going to get taxed at the price that you purchase your home, but you're going to get taxed at what the county appraisal district appraises your home at, and that fluctuates every single year. Now, the good news about that is there is a $140,000 homestead exemption here in the state of Texas, so that helps bring your taxes down quite a bit. And there's some other things that the state is trying to do to really limit the local authorities' ability just to raise your property taxes. So just remember, when you come here, it's like a lot of the things that you're going to be making up as far as like, hey, Texas doesn't have a state income tax, you may be paying back just as much in the property taxes. You need to understand that. Now, the last thing that I'm going to talk about, and this is really more about, it's very, very important that you understand what type of people you like, what type of home you like, and most importantly, what is the lifestyle that you like. Because what I will tell you, here in New Braunfels, people are completely different from here than if you were to go just about 7 miles to the west towards Cibolo Shirts area. Two completely different sets of people. And both of them are not going to fit everybody's lifestyle. Or then you go up into the Garden Ridge area that's just right up north into hill country. Again, very independent people, completely different. So what I'm saying is like the lifestyle that you want to live, you need to make sure that it is going to fit your personality, because people here are so different. Every single one of them are great people. They will give you your right arm for anything. And it's still a lot of places, if you're broke down on the road, their people will still stop and help you out. They are willing to help, but they are very, very independent. But that's also one of the great things about Texas people too, is like, I've lived here. I mean, I'm born and raised in Texas, but I've only lived here in this area for 10 years. But everybody across the state, we do take pride in the way our state has grown, has risen, and we're very, very independent. So with that, I mean, don't be afraid to ask people for help, but just understand that like when you look at the areas between, if you want to be in the Alamo Heights, Terrell Heights, or you want to go out west towards Castroville, or maybe you want to go up to like Leon Valley, Bernie, or maybe you want to live like kind of like in the suburbs real close to San Antonio, like Stone Oak and Timberwood Park. Those are all great places. But you just need to understand, like, the location that you live in, what are the habits in that location, what school districts that you're in, because you can live in one area and you can be one across the street away from the school district that you may want to place your schools in. And there's nothing that you could potentially do about it. So understand that, guys, that the location that matters for the person that you want to work with. Now, look, guys, as I've talked about like locations to live in, this is the things that I do with people out here. I will drive all over the map to find the locations that really are going to fit your lifestyle to what you look for. Like, I mean, for example, it's like me and a client of mine, we were looking at several different locations, rounding out the top loop of San Antonio, but not inside 1604. Everything from Garden Ridge to Bulverde, all the way out to Bernie. In each one of those locations, it brings just back just something just completely different than whether he's looking for and what he's not looking for. And what I try to do and what I work well with people is like looking at you, observing, and really fitting what you're looking for, what your needs and what your wants for into one of the 200 plus neighborhoods and development projects that's going on, not just in San Antonio, but especially the greater San Antonio suburbs. So maybe like if price point is like one of your factors, maybe you want to look in somewhere like Seguin. If you want to live in hill country, maybe you want to look in the Bulverde, Bergheim, Bernie, New Braunfels area. But as you can see, there's just so many different areas and so many different lifestyles. And that's why I say I break all these things down for you. So guys, if you want to know more, reach out below. But also guys, if you want to know a little bit more about some of the neighborhoods around here, watch this video here, because this is actually one of the most affordable areas that you can live in within the San Antonio region.